Welcome back to First on Film. I'm really excited to be talking to directors Alex Mallis and Travis Wood of the new film, The Travel Companion. Nice to meet you both. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, nice to be here.
I'd love to first hear about your filmmaking journeys and what brought you both to this film here that we're talking about now.
First of all, thanks for having us on. This is great. We have our new film, The Travel Companion. This is our debut feature. It's both of our debut features. We wrote, directed, produced it together with a third writer and producer, Wes Auburn. And Travis and I met originally through our filmmaking collective that we're part of here in New York City called Meerkat Media. And it was through that collective that we met each other and we started collaborating on some smaller projects together, some documentaries, some narratives, and I think we just really clicked. And the collaboration was pretty obviously a good one, which is always something you want to, if something like that comes along, you definitely don't want to let it pass. So we really seized the opportunity and kept making projects together, and then one day kind of decided to take a bigger swing together and make this feature.
Sounds good. Well, this movie really emphasizes the hustle when it comes to filmmaking. What were some of the limitations that you were working under right off the bat when you started working on The Travel Companion?
Yeah, I guess the first one was having not made a feature film before. I think we've made a lot of shorts, but there's kind of this idea, I think, that for a feature, like, it's like we don't know what we don't know. So that was kind of the first one. And then I think this goes for pretty much every film, but budget was definitely a limitation, but one that we kind of had in mind really early on, like going back to the script writing phase. We were really thinking like, okay, how can we write something that we know we can pull off for any amount of money? So that was like kind of always in the DNA of the film.
Yeah, and I also love another thing that this movie touches on in the world of filmmaking is the camaraderie, is different filmmakers supporting, elevating each other's work, and being there for one another. When did you first feel that sense of camaraderie in your filmmaking journeys, and who are some of the people that have shaped your journeys the most?
I guess I could start. I think probably the first time I felt that was in college when I joined the AV club, the college TV station at the University of New Hampshire, and that's where I ended up spending almost all my time in college. Even though I was studying science, I spent most of my time in this lab, cooking up projects. A lot of really bad, hundreds of hours of really bad, terrible, unwatchable stuff. But I was doing it in this group of people who were excited to do it with me and make mistakes together. So yeah, shout out my homie Matt Lubicki, Nate Lord, Chris LaCoria. These were the dudes who we were experimenting and making mistakes together and kind of just getting our 10,000 hours in back in college.
Yeah, I grew up skateboarding, so I feel like that was kind of my big kickoff, was just hanging out with the homies, going out skating, and then filming that, and then kind of transitioning into more kind of narrative films. I think this group Meerkat Media, where me and Alex met, that was kind of my first time where it was like, oh, like let's help each other on these projects.
Before I get into the actual story of the movie, one thing I really love that you guys really took advantage of is the awesome logo and title designs throughout the opening credits and the logo of the movie. Who was behind that? How did you guys come up with those really cool titles in the beginning?
Yeah, I think very early on we were just like, we got to get a logo, and we had kind of pulled some references of like vintage airlines, and then kind of one of the secret assets of the film is Alex has this buddy Nat who's like a brilliant graphic designer, and my tip to all independent filmmakers, get a graphic designer on staff as soon as you can, because that will elevate your project very quickly.
Let's get into Tristan Turner, who's at the center of this movie. Simon, I think he's kind of relatable because I think we all dream of flying for free wherever we want, and he definitely fights for that. One thing I really love about him is not only is he charming, but he also nails the unnatural dialogue, the stumbling on his words, the bit of awkwardness that actually feels natural because it's not, a perfect sort of, it doesn't feel like perfectly written dialogue. What about Tristan first captivated you, and when did he fully become Simon in front of your eyes?
I think we have to give a hat tip to our casting director, Alan Scott Neal. He was really instrumental in helping us realize this vision, and I think you really touched on it hit the nail on the head there in terms of what we were going for. We really wanted things to be naturalistic and not be this like perfect, Aaron Sorkin-esque kind of like perfect heightened reality thing. We wanted it to feel lived in and people to talk the way that they talk, which is imperfect and stumbly. And so when Alan showed us Tristan's audition tape, it was kind of just like, oh, there he is. That even before he opened his mouth, I was like, that guy looks like an experimental documentary filmmaker. He just kind of inhabited the part. And then when we heard him perform, we're like, oh my God, this guy, he was this perfect mixture of like empathetic, kind of like a little nerdy, like kind of silly. And we're like, yes, this is exactly the energy that we wanted. And his audition tape and his callbacks and all the way right up onto set, he kind of just nailed it every time. So he made our jobs easy.
One thing I love about the way you captured New York City is you captured the humble, free-spirited sides. Like there's a different cultural end in every corner that's waiting to be discovered, but also the tedious sides. What are some of the biggest challenges of filming in loud and crowded New York City streets?
I feel like in many ways, like the challenges were also kind of the positives. Like I think New York is kind of this place where people are kind of just like down and do their own thing in a way that is helpful. Like, I'm from Minneapolis, and I think if you shoot there without a permit or without permissions, like I think people are a little more like, what are you doing here? But everyone in New York kind of just keeps walking by you, for better or worse. So I think a lot of the things we were able to do were kind of facilitated by that, where it's like you can kind of drop a production crew on a sidewalk, and for the most part, if you give people a space to walk by, they'll kind of just keep on doing what they're doing. And maybe if they're curious, they'll be like, oh, like they'll be curious for the right reasons. I don't think anyone's really trying to shut down an independent film here, just because everyone's got something else to do. So I think we were able to kind of use that and really get so many locations into the film because of like just that vibe of the city.
Speaking of that spontaneity that New York City has, how much of the dialogue between the main characters is improv and how much is more strictly sticking to the script?
I'd say all of the most amazing lines are scripted. No, I think I would say, I don't know, if I had to be honest about it, I'd say like maybe 80 to 90% is scripted, and then there was probably, like 15-20% of improvisation, and we welcome that. I think there are a couple, I guess I should say there are a couple scenes that are fully improvised, and that was by design. Especially in the early part of the film when they're kind of hanging around as friends. We just wanted them to feel, we give them like ideas, talk about this, talk about that, but we wanted them to feel as naturalistic as possible in those moments. But we also wrote a fair chunk of it. And like you were saying earlier, I think a goal of ours when writing it, sort of like you write something, you read it back out loud, is like, this should feel real. This should feel like how people talk.
This is a scene that I really enjoyed, and I'm wondering, how often have you guys been in a restaurant or somewhere crowded and thought, how many of these people are filmmakers?
I think tons. One thing that we've been kind of running into since releasing this film is like these conversations just keep happening. We're independent filmmakers, we're at Q&As, we're at restaurants, like we're doing all of these things, and almost without fail, some of these conversations just continue to come up naturally. So I would say that one specifically, probably monthly.
Definitely a perk of living in somewhere, New York, which is such a canvas of like talents and interests and backgrounds and so on. Now I want to enter a different segment of this interview, which is the speed round. So I'm going to ask you guys some questions very quickly, and I want to hear your answers. Some of them are going to be this or that. Some of them might require a short answer, but I'd love to hear your takes on these. What are your worst airport horror stories?
As someone who currently has the standby flight benefits, it mostly works. Like, it's not too bad. But I do remember one day I was trying to fly to Atlanta, and if there's anyone, non-rev listeners, they'll know, like, New York to Atlanta is, like, a really tough route on standby because it's, like, hub to hub. And I got there at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I was, like, just going to go hang out with my sister for the day, and I tried flights until 6 p.m. and then eventually just came back home. So I just spent my whole day walking from gate to gate and just decided to bail on the trip.
And we basically wrote that into the script. Tristan has this very similar experience in the movie.
Nice. So how would you rank these three airports? JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark.
I think probably in the exact reverse order. I would go LaGuardia
so Newark
first.
One. Oh, okay.
It's LaGuardia first, JFK, and then Newark. Look, I think JFK is a kind of a bummer, but it is closest to me, so it gets extra points.
That is the correct order.
I've only ever done Newark, so now my expectations are high for the other two. New
LaGuardia's
York
nice.
style?
They
Yeah.
redid it. They redid it. It's
Nice,
got some.
nice.
It's a little pricey, but it's clean and nice food options. The flow is there.
Okay, New York style or Chicago deep dish pizza?
New York, all the way.
Yeah.
Not a question I'm comfortable even addressing.
I agree, but I think, every couple months there's room for a good deep dish.
Sure.
Like
Every
on
couple of years,
occasion.
maybe. Yeah.
I wouldn't be that harsh. Okay, window or aisle seat?
Ooh, I'm going aisle all day.
Yeah.
I'm a window guy.
See, that's
Okay.
why we work well together.
Yeah.
Yeah, best of both worlds. Worst delay on a flight you've ever had?
I don't know, man. Those are the kind of things that I like very actively black out of my memory. Those kind of experiences can be so
Yeah.
traumatic and awful. You're like, I never am gonna think about this ever again. So I'm sure
I've
I've
come
had
to
some gnarly
appreciate the
ones.
delay a little bit, honestly. Like, I feel like the ones I've had are like weather or like maintenance, and I think as I've gotten older, I'm like, yeah, go ahead and make sure it's good and safe.
So, have you ever had to sprint through an airport to catch a flight, like Home Alone style?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to New Orleans one year, and it was at the. Is that JFK? I think it's the JFK has like a long. The Delta terminal is very long, and then there's like there's like a staircase at the very end that goes to like another long section, and our gate was the very last one of the entire thing. So I was like, oh yeah, our flight departs in like 8 minutes or 10 minutes, like we're good. But then it was like truly a 25-minute walk to get from one. So we were just like, oh, I guess we have to run like Home Alone, and that's exactly what we did. Made it.
Yeah, only on the layovers for me.
Yeah, I get that. Me too, me too. Okay, have you ever flown for free?
Thankfully, yes. I've got my travel companion pass back in the end, and I've been taking lots of advantage of some free non-rev travel.
Nice. What's your dream city to film in next?
I'm kind of like thinking maybe New York City would be good for the next one.
Stick around.
Yeah, stick around. It feels good to be able to come back to my bed at night. But I would be excited about shooting in another country, maybe somewhere in Europe, if if the production called for it, just to be somewhere new and exciting.
I'm gonna
I
say
know the guys in
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. I know the guys in the movie talk about their trip to Osaka. Maybe that would be a fun time.
Yeah, that would be sick.
And then last one, this is a little more filmmaking centered. What is the latest after a call time someone has ever arrived to a set that you were working on?
Oh, that happened on our shoot. We had one of our crew members show up quite late. I think they were like maybe 2 hours late. Does that
Oh,
sound right? Yeah, that was,
is there at least a
and
notice?
they were notified that they wouldn't be coming the next day if that's what you mean.
I was just gonna say, I think the latest is just not showing up. I think when I finally got a hold of someone, they were like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. The call sheet went to my spam, and I went to bed early. I just didn't know the shoot was happening."
Where will people be able to watch The Travel Companion, and what's exciting you the most with the coming screenings you guys have?
We're kicking off in New York City this week, April 10th through the 16th at BAM, and then it will be available like nationwide, select cities. We got LA, Chicago, Cincinnati, Minneapolis, Birmingham, lots of
Sedona,
cities.
Arizona. Don't
Burlington,
sleep if you're
Vermont.
out
Like that
there.
rhyme.
Yeah. Yeah, you can check it out, thetravelcompanionfilm.com, or on our Instagram page, which is The Travel Companion Film. We're pretty active over there, and eventually it'll hit streaming. But for now, we're really pushing for the dark theatrical experience, the way it's meant to be seen.
Absolutely. If you're in New York City, especially, check this one out. I think it's a good one to watch with your friends as well. Let's give movies a theatrical experience that they deserve. Alex and Travis, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time, and I really enjoyed talking about your new film.
Likewise, thank
Likewise,
you.
man, this was great. Thank you.